Hello, Magi here, and today we're going to be continuing off in ESR, the demo. So, let's recap the main thing I can remember. So, we went back to the human village because we wanted to talk to Raisin because she had some updates on our formula, on, our immortal potion, whatever. It turned out pretty well, like, considering the shit we had last time, because Kokuma helped us out with the drafting and all that, so our notes look pretty good. We just gotta find a way to distill the stuff properly so that it doesn't kill our stomachs. We also had, I'm trying to think what else we had to deal with. We also had to, but we chilled with Alice for a bit just because we were bored on one day. And then we also had the important one of the big events was the Flandry outing. So, we had to take Flandry to a few places. So we had to be careful not to get more people killed as possible, because you don't exactly want a vampire to destroy anything to go on a rampage, because that's never a fun thing, especially not for the residents of Gensokyo. And then after that, we also had a talk with Reimu, a little serious though, because the whole she's trying to become an immortal. Reimu's not liking that whole thing, considering that Reimu's still human and she's gonna feel left out of that. What else was there? We also chilled with Koichi a bit, and she's giving us more hints in terms of our character progression. So it sounds like we're doing all right now. I think the high points were Flandre, and Alice is pretty high right now, at least from what I'm understanding. So we're just gonna have to work from there, and I think that's everything I can recap at the moment. So without further ado, let's just start this out. I'm not gonna read that part because whatever. First, my whims directed me to the village. I wanted some sweets. I do too, to be honest. I could go for some donuts. The village was bustling a little more than usual today. Apparently something was up, though it couldn't be much more than a rumor if me or Reimu hadn't been called out yet. Unfortunately, that meant I would have a hard time figuring out what it was. I wasn't that tied into the rumor mill anymore. In the end, I got the answer though. While ordering some cookies from the bakery, I overheard two women talking about the legendary floating treasure ships, a ship of the 7 gods of fortune. I heard a little bit about it before, but now several people have claimed they'd seen it. That would be quite the find. It was also certainly a fake, but I better keep an eye out for it, and just in case it's real. I always wanted to loot a treasure ship. For that matter, I've always wanted to loot a ship. Being a pirate sounded cool. To be honest, I could totally see you being in the pirate profession. Works pretty well for you. Well, I had my sweets. What should I do with the rest of today? I could go wandering. There's a lot of business I haven't visited in a while. Newspaper stand, Tengu, it was at the pocket I saw back there. Maybe I should pay Koichi a visit. Wonder if I learned anything about the ship by being random people. Well, Koichi's been helping us pretty well so far, but let's just try something different. Newspaper stand. It seemed like a totally worthless shop, so I had to check it out. When I saw it though, I realized what a good idea was. They had the headlines open for everyone to see, so that people would get hooked on the story and buy the paper. They also seemed to have some of that manga the Tengu and Kappa had been putting out in a serialized form. I grabbed a couple of volumes and read over them. I couldn't make sense of any of the stories, but I got some cool ideas from the pictures. Now that it was approaching midday, I decided to head home and eat before figuring out what to do for the afternoon. A sudden sense of foreboding washed over me as I headed home. I looked around, but I couldn't see anything, except of course a very distinctly fake bush. This could mean only one thing. I kind of have a clue to that as well, so we'll see. Alright, I was correct. Aha! This will be my greatest plan yet! I so believe that, Nidori. Hi, Niri, why is this your greatest plan yet? Because it is the largest plan of all. I mean, you've had how many plans to begin with, so that's a big statement right there. Largest, There's a popular saying that 2 heads are better than 1. After extensive research, I've concluded this is true. And there she goes. 2 people come together can get more accomplished. Those 2 heads can think more together more efficiently. They can exert more physical force. They can help each other correct their mistakes. Nidori moved behind the bush and where she began dragging out something else. Thus, I realized this is what I lack. I sidekick, and so Nidori dragged out from behind the bush a very frustrated looking wolf Tengu. How on earth did she manage to rope Momiji into this? The poor girl looked like she really didn't want to be here. Her canine ears were flat against her head. I'm sure if I checked, her tail would be between her legs. Nidori, I really don't get why I'm here. Neither do I, so we'll see how this turns out. Because you are my sidekick! Wow, that's an occupation, I guess. I mean, it's something. It's something. And besides, without you, how would I demonstrate the brain twofer? Twofer. Oh, I got a bad feeling about this. Brain twofer? This sounds more like a horrible brain disease than an invention. I'm gonna have to agree with Marissa on this one. That just sounds whacked. Really whacked. It certainly would explain a lot about Nidori's behavior. And besides, don't you mean, how would you carry this heavy thing without me? Momiji dragged out a large device, vaguely resembling a box covered in glowing lights and buttons connected to two. They looked kind of like metal helmets. It did look heavy. Nonsense! I carried it myself, through the power of love and science. I don't think love has anything to do with this, really. Nidori seemed to ignore Momoji's snide commentary like water off a duck's back and continued her ranting. Behold, this wonder of modern science is the latest in networking technology. People from outside the world have been working for years to have better networking cables to connect computers, but they have no vision. Sure, girl, yeah. No, this device connects the ultimate computer, the brain. Computer? Alright, that weird outside world calculations shikigami. Wouldn't connecting them be connecting the brain? The brain twofer will allow myself and this Tengu to link our minds together and utilize our brain powers together. We will become more intelligent than any Tengu or Kappa has ever been before. And now I'm just this Tengu. Why do I want you to connect to my brain? Once again, Nidori ignored her and began placing the helmet on Momoji's head, resigned to her fate. Apparently, Tengu didn't resist. I just placed one helmet on each of our heads and turned on the machine and... Warning, overload. Yeah, this is really not gonna turn out well. What? Overload? Why is there an overload? Processor overload. Meltdown in progress. Meltdown? But... There's that. There's always an explosion. And with that, the device exploded. I heard Momoji yelp and Nidori was splayed on the ground when the smoke cleared. But how? Ugh, I don't even know why I came. It didn't even work. I briefly thought about helping them, but I was starting to get the impression that this was all in a day's work for the resilient Kappa. And Momoji seemed like a tough girl. She probably recovered before Nidori and clean this mess up. I suppose it would be best to just move on in that case.